Section 1. Moonlit Riverbank. A restless novice walks by flowing water, burdened by thoughts he cannot release. Tonight we are going to explore some timeless Zen stories that have helped people find peace and relaxation for centuries. As you sit or lie comfortably, listen to the subtle sounds around you, the faint hum of your room, the steady rhythm of your breath, the softness of the night air brushing gently against the window. Imagine the glow of a small lamp nearby, casting warm light across a quiet space. Each inhale carries the coolness of evening. Each exhale lets your body sink deeper into ease. Remember, inner peace is not something far away. It is here, available right now, in this breath, in this moment. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you would like, share your location and local time in the comments, so we can all feel connected across distance and night. Now, let us ease into tonight's journey together. By the banks of a wide river, silver beneath the moon, a young novice walked with heavy steps. The current flowed endlessly, carrying leaves, twigs, and fallen petals. But his own thoughts clung stubbornly, looping in circles. He worried about the chores he had done imperfectly, the chance he had stumbled through, and the uncertain future that loomed. His mind was like a dammed stream, unable to flow, full of swirling debris. He paused at the edge of the riverbank. The air was cool and damp, the stones beneath his sandals slick with dew. The water whispered softly, a language of letting go. Each wave touched the shore, bowed, and returned to the current. The novice sighed, pressing his hands together. "Why can't I be like the river?" he wondered aloud. From the shadows, the elder master appeared, his robe trailing quietly along the ground. He gazed at the river for a long while before speaking. The river never clings. It carries everything, branches, leaves, reflections, without keeping any of them. Your mind, too, could be like this. The novice frowned. "But Master, I cannot stop thinking. Each thought grabs hold of me." The elder's eyes softened. "It is not the thoughts themselves, but your grasping of them. A Zen master might ask, is the river burdened by the leaf it carries, or does it release it the moment the current moves?" The boy lowered his eyes to the moving water. He watched a cluster of blossoms drift by. For a moment, he tried to imagine himself as the river, carrying, but not clinging. His chest loosened slightly. He whispered, "Perhaps I can let them pass." The elder nodded. "Yes. Watch the current, and you will see your mind's teaching." The boy sat on the damp grass. The river's movement seemed endless, never repeating, always flowing. He thought of how tightly he had held onto his worries. They were like stones clutched in his hands, while the river showed him the freedom of letting them drop. Tonight, you too can practice this. Rest one hand lightly on your chest, the other on your belly. Inhale slowly, counting to 4. Exhale longer, perhaps to 6, whispering inwardly, "I release." Repeat 3 times. This is your micro-practice, letting your thoughts flow by like leaves, on a current. The elder master sometimes used quirky images to lighten the lesson. He once laughed. If the river held every leaf, by now it would be a mountain of debris. Yet it remains free because it refuses to be a collector. The novices chuckled, realizing that their own minds often tried to hoard worries in just this way. The boy smiled faintly at the memory. He leaned forward, watching the moon's reflection tremble on the water. At first the ripples distorted the image, but as he stilled himself, the reflection grew clearer. He realized that clarity was not in banishing ripples, but in letting them pass. The elder's voice was gentle. The way out is in, "Come home to yourself, as the river always comes home to the sea." The novice breathed deeply, the river's rhythm syncing with his own. He no longer tried to control each thought. Instead, he let them flow, trusting the current to carry them away. His body softened against the earth, his mind loosening its grip. As the night deepened, the boy felt calmer. His thoughts still rose, but he greeted them gently, then watched them drift downstream. He whispered, "I am not the stones. I am the river." The moon rose higher, silver light stretching across the surface, and the novice leaned back, drowsy, as though the river itself carried him into rest. The river had given its first teaching. Peace is found not in holding, but in letting go, as water flows endlessly to the sea. Section 2. Echo of the Empty Boat. Watching an empty boat drift teaches him about non-attachment. The moonlight shimmered across the wide river, and the novice lingered by its bank, feeling the night settle deeper around him. The cool air carried the smell of wet grass and faint blossoms drifting from a nearby grove. Crickets hummed, their song weaving into the river's rhythm. Yet within the boy's chest, thoughts still swirled. Though softer now, they clung in small knots. He whispered inwardly, "I wish I could let go completely." The elder, standing nearby, bent to pick up a small stick. Without explanation, he tossed it into the current. The boy watched as the stick bobbed, spun once, then was carried smoothly downstream until it vanished into darkness. The master asked, "Did the stick resist?" The boy shook his head. "Then why do you—" The novice lowered his eyes, ashamed. "Because I think if I release, I will lose myself." The elder smiled. "You confuse yourself with what you carry. You are not the stick, you are the river." To make his point clearer, he pointed across the water. An old wooden boat sat drifting near the far bank. It rocked lightly with the current, empty and untied. Moonlight bathed it in silver. The master whispered, "Do you see that boat? What burden does it hold?" The boy answered, "None. It is empty." The elder nodded. "That is why it moves freely. When a boat is crowded with baggage, it sinks or becomes stuck. When it is empty, it glides." This was the teaching of non-attachment. To cling to thoughts is to load one's boat with unnecessary cargo. To release is to float, carried by life itself. A Zen master might ask, when you ride in an empty boat and another collides with you, whom will you blame? The novice considered this. He realized that much of his restlessness came from blaming himself every stumble, every worry, every unfinished thought. He carried them like passengers crammed into his small vessel. No wonder he felt heavy. Tonight, you can sit with this teaching. Close your eyes and picture yourself in a simple wooden boat. Inhale slowly, seeing your boat filled with bags marked worry, regret, what if. Exhale and imagine tossing one bag overboard into the river. With each breath, lighten your load. After 3 or 4 breaths, feel the boat drift easier, freer. This is your micro-practice, traveling light through the night of the mind. The monks often used humor with this story. One novice once tied stones into his robe, declaring he was testing his strength. The elder laughed and said, "When you drown, remember to let go first." Another quipped, My boat is full of pride. It keeps sinking, but at least it bows deeply. The hull erupted in laughter, showing that even serious lessons could be carried gently. The boy smiled faintly as he looked at the empty boat. He imagined his own mind, as light as that vessel, moving freely with the current. He whispered, "Perhaps I am emptier than I think." The elder placed a hand on his shoulder. "Emptiness is not loss. It is space. It is freedom. Be like the empty boat, and you will glide." The novice sat long into the night, watching the boat drift and vanish into fog. For once, he felt no fear of losing himself. Instead, he felt the relief of carrying less. In modern life, we too fill our boats with burdens, regrets from yesterday, worries about tomorrow, the endless weight of needing to prove ourselves. Yet the empty boat reminds us that freedom comes when we drop what is unnecessary. We are carried not by our cargo, but by the river itself. The boy eventually lay back on the damp grass. He imagined his chest as a boat, emptied of all passengers, rocking gently in the river's flow. His breath deepened, his body softened, and he whispered, "The way out is in." Sleep drifted toward him like a calm current, carrying him without effort. The empty boat had revealed its truth. Peace is not found in carrying everything, but in releasing, allowing the river to guide us onward. Section 3. Lantern reflections on water. Light trembling on ripples shows the impermanence of thought. The night deepened, and the boy returned often in his thoughts to the image of that empty boat drifting without burden. Yet the restless currents of his mind continued to trouble him. He would sit by the riverbank, watching the water slide past, but his gaze would tangle with the moon's reflection. The silver disk trembled with every ripple, shattering into broken fragments of light. "Why can I not see it clearly?" he murmured. The elder sat beside him, silent for a while. Finally, he gestured to the shimmering surface. "The moon above is perfect and unbroken. Only the water makes it appear shattered. So it is with your mind. The reflection of truth wavers when the surface is disturbed." The boy frowned. "Then must I still my thoughts completely, like water without ripples." The elder smiled gently. "You cannot stop the breeze from brushing the river, nor can you stop thoughts from passing, but you can learn to watch them, without chasing. When the water does not cling to the wind, it settles naturally." This was the teaching of impermanence and clarity. Thoughts rise like ripples, yet the truth beneath remains untouched. A Zen master might ask, is it the moon that shatters, or only the water's reflection? The boy leaned forward, studying the trembling light. He realized the moon had never been broken. It only looked so because his eyes focused on the ripples. His heart softened with this understanding. Tonight, you can share in this practice. Inhale deeply, picturing a clear moon above. Exhale, imagining your thoughts as ripples on water. Let them expand, soften, and fade. Repeat 3 times. This is your micro-practice, resting not in the ripple, but in the calm reflection beyond. The monks often found humor in reflections. One elder teased, "I bowed to the moon and the water, but my nose only grew wet." Another joked, "If the reflection shatters, I will collect the pieces in a bucket." Their light laughter reminded the novices that reflections are never to be feared. They are only play upon the surface. The novice chuckled at these stories, his worry loosening. He imagined himself laughing with the elders, his heavy thoughts drifting like playful ripples. Slowly, he began to see that even distorted reflections could teach him. The elder spoke again. When you cling to your ripples, you mistake distortion for reality. But when you allow the current to flow, clarity always returns. The moon never leaves the sky. The boy bowed his head. Then I must stop chasing my ripples. The elder nodded. Yes. Look beyond them. See the stillness that holds them. The boy sat quietly, breathing with the river. He felt the cool air on his cheeks, the damp earth beneath him, the faint vibration of water moving. In the silence, the ripples seemed less troubling. For a moment he caught a glimpse of the moon, reflected whole, steady and bright. His chest lightened as if a knot had untangled. In modern life, our minds often tremble with ripples, notifications buzzing like sudden breezes, anxious thoughts, scattering reflections. But the teaching is the same. Beneath the disturbance, clarity remains untouched. When we release our grip on ripples, the whole sky returns. That night, the novice lay down and closed his eyes. He pictured the moon glowing steadily above, watching over him. His thoughts wavered like water, but he no longer feared them. He let them ripple and fade, trusting that clarity remained beneath. His breath deepened, his body softened, and he drifted towards sleep, as quietly as moonlight settles on still water. The trembling reflection had spoken its truth. Peace is found not in silencing ripples, but in remembering the moon beyond them. Section 4. The Fisherman's Silence. A quiet stranger reveals mindfulness through patient waiting. The moon continued to shine above the river, and the novice carried the lesson of reflections in his heart. Yet his mind still reached for answers. He wanted clarity not only in images, but in life itself. Every day brought chores, chanting, and silence. But in each task, questions crowded him. Am I doing this well enough? Will the master approve? What if I never find peace? Sensing the boy's restlessness, the elder invited him to walk further along the river one evening. The path was soft with moss, and fireflies blinked in the tall grass. Eventually they came upon a fisherman sitting silently in his small boat near the shore. His line trailed in the water, but his eyes were not on the river. They gazed into the night sky. The boy tilted his head. Master, why does he not watch his line? The elder whispered, because he is watching his breath. Fishing is his excuse for stillness. The boy frowned, puzzled. But if he does not look, how will he know when the fish comes? The master smiled. He will feel the tug in the silence. Stillness sharpens awareness. When the mind is quiet, even the smallest ripple is noticed. This was the teaching of mindfulness, of discovering presence not in constant effort, but in silence itself. A Zen master might ask, does the fisherman catch more fish by staring into the water, or by resting so deeply that the river speaks to him? The boy sat on the bank, watching the fisherman. Time seemed to stretch. The boat rocked gently, the line floated, and the man remained still, his breath steady. Suddenly, the line dipped. With graceful ease, the fisherman lifted his rod and pulled a silver fish from the water. He smiled faintly, as though confirming a secret he already knew. The boy's eyes widened. He knew. The elder nodded. Silence told him. The river always whispers when you listen deeply enough. Tonight, you can practice this listening. Close your eyes. Inhale, noticing the faintest sound around you, the hum of air, the brush of fabric. Exhale, listening more deeply. Repeat 3 times. This is your micro-practice, fishing for stillness in the quiet river of your own breath. The monks often joked about fishing. One novice once dipped his line in an empty bucket, declaring he had caught a fish of imagination. Another said, "The best fish are the ones that escape. I eat them in my dreams." Their laughter rippled across the monastery, reminding all that even waiting could be light-hearted. The novice chuckled softly at these tales. He began to see that his own chasing of thoughts was like a fisherman staring endlessly at the water, missing the quiet tug of truth beneath. The elder leaned close and said, "Mindfulness is not force. It is patient waiting, like the fisherman in his boat. When you rest, life tugs gently, and you will know." The boy felt warmth spread through his chest. He realized that perhaps he had been too busy scanning the surface of his mind, missing the subtler movements below. He whispered, "Then I must listen more deeply." As the night deepened, the fisherman packed his net and drifted silently away. The boy and the elder turned back toward the monastery. The river flowed beside them, its quiet current steady, its voice patient. In modern life, our attention is often hooked by endless distractions, screens flashing, notifications buzzing, conversations demanding. We stare at the surface, restless, missing the deeper tug. But silence, like the fisherman's stillness, reminds us that awareness sharpens when we rest, not when we chase. That night, lying on his mat, the novice closed his eyes and listened. At first he heard only his restless thoughts. Then, with steady breathing, he noticed the faint hum of crickets outside, the soft creak of wood, the rhythm of his own heartbeat. A deep calm spread through him, as though the river itself whispered, "You are listening now." The fisherman's silence had revealed its truth. Peace is not caught by chasing, but felt by waiting, patient and present, for life's gentle tug. Section 5, Mist over the current morning fog, unveils the mystery of seeing clearly without control. The image of the fisherman lingered in the novice's heart, like the glow of a lantern long after it had been extinguished. He thought of how stillness, rather than striving, had revealed the tug of the line. Yet questions still returned to him, drifting in like mist. Could he truly learn to rest? Could he trust silence to guide him, as surely as the fisherman trusted the river? The elder seemed to sense these doubts without needing words. One dawn he beckoned the boy to walk again. The air was thick with fog, rising from the surface of the river and spreading across the banks in a silver veil. Trees appeared half-formed, their trunks fading in and out of sight, as though the world itself was not yet complete. The boy shivered slightly. "Master, I cannot see the path." The elder nodded. "And yet your feet still walk." They moved slowly along the damp earth. Each step sank lightly into the soil. The boy's heart quickened as the mist grew thicker, swallowing lanterns, swallowing the path ahead. He whispered, "How can I walk when I cannot see where it leads?" The elder's voice was calm. Mist teaches us that clarity does not always mean control. You see only what you need. The rest will come when you arrive. This was the teaching of trust and patience. The future is hidden, like the far bank of a river in fog. Yet the present step is always clear enough. A Zen master might ask, is the path revealed because you see it, or because you take the step? The boy slowed his breathing. He noticed that although the mist obscured the distance, each step uncovered the next patch of earth. He realized that fear came not from the mist itself, but from his mind's desire to see everything at once. They reached a bend where the fog grew so dense that even the river's edge blurred. The elder stopped and pointed. "Watch closely." Through the mist, a single heron lifted from the water, its wings brushing against the fog, scattering it for a moment. For just an instant, the boy glimpsed the wider river before the mist closed again. The elder whispered, "Clarity arrives in flashes, but it is enough. The heron does not need the whole sky. It trusts the wing beat beneath it." The boy placed a hand on his chest. He inhaled deeply, exhaled slowly, whispering, "This step is enough. This breath is enough." Tonight, you can share in this practice. As you rest, close your eyes. Inhale, picturing mist before you. Exhale, imagining one small patch clearing for your next step. Repeat 3 times. This is your micro-practice, walking through fog without needing the whole path revealed. The monks often laughed at misty mornings. One elder, squinting dramatically, exclaimed, "I lost myself in the fog, but luckily I found me again at breakfast." Another chuckled, "The mist hides my mistakes better than my broom ever could." Their joy reminded the novices that even uncertainty could be met with lightness. The boy chuckled at these stories as he walked, his fear loosening. The fog no longer seemed threatening, but tender, like a blanket wrapping the earth. He realized that perhaps not knowing was a gift. Without full sight, he was forced to slow, to breathe, to feel each step. The elder touched his shoulder. "Mist is mercy. It asks you only for trust. When you release the need to see everything, you discover the peace of simply being where you are." In modern life, fog often appears not as weather, but as uncertainty, unanswered emails, unclear futures, paths that do not yet reveal themselves. But the mist teaches us that clarity is never absent. It simply arrives in its own time, step by step. That night, lying on his mat, the boy closed his eyes and pictured himself walking again through fog. Each inhale brought the image of uncertainty. Each exhale revealed the small, safe patch of ground beneath his foot. Slowly, the weight in his chest eased, and he felt himself drifting gently, as though the mist itself had lifted him into sleep. The river's fog had spoken its truth. Peace is not found in controlling the future, but in trusting each step to reveal itself when the time is right. Section 6. The Bridge of Gentle Steps. Crossing slowly, he learns trust in each breath, each plank. The memory of walking through mist lingered in the novice's body, like the cool dew that clung to his robe. Even after he returned to the monastery, he carried the lesson of trust, whispering to himself, "This step is enough." Yet his mind, shaped by years of anxious habit, still tugged toward worry. When the chores of the day pressed upon him, fetching water, sweeping the garden, chanting with the community, he often found himself rushing in thought, leaning forward into tomorrow. Sensing the boy's restlessness, the elder invited him once more to the river. This time, they approached a wooden bridge stretched across the water. Lanterns flickered at each end, their flames quivering in the evening breeze. The planks creaked with age, their grain worn smooth by countless feet. Mist curled just above the surface, and the current below whispered its eternal song. The boy hesitated at the edge. "Master, what if the bridge breaks beneath me?" The elder's eyes softened. "Has it carried others before you?" The novice nodded. "Yes, master." "Then trust this plank, not the next." Worry lives in boards not yet stepped upon. The boy took a breath and stepped onto the first plank. The wood groaned lightly but held. His heart pounded. He glanced at the far side, still shrouded in fog. But I cannot see the end. The elder smiled. You do not need to see the end. You need only this step. Each plank reveals itself when you arrive. This was the teaching of presence, of entrusting oneself to each moment rather than being consumed by distant fears. A Zen master might ask, does the bridge carry you because you see the other side, or because you trust the step beneath your foot? The novice inhaled slowly, then exhaled, matching his breath to his step. With each board he crossed, his fear softened. The creaks no longer sounded like threats, but like the sighs of old friends. When they reached the middle of the bridge, the elder paused. The river below reflected the moon, fractured into trembling shards with every ripple. The master tapped his staff lightly on the planks. Do you hear the bridge breathe? Do you feel its song beneath your feet? Life is like this crossing, not silent, not perfect, but enough. The boy closed his eyes briefly, letting his weight settle fully into the plank beneath him. For the first time he felt carried, rather than threatened. Tonight you can practice this crossing. Imagine yourself standing at the start of a bridge. Inhale, lifting one foot. Exhale, placing it firmly on the plank before you. Repeat slowly for 10 breaths. This is your micro practice, crossing the bridge of the present moment, step by step. The monks often made light of the old bridge. One novice stomped loudly across, declaring, if it breaks, at least the fish will have company. Another, afraid of heights, whispered halfway through, even if I fall, the river may welcome me kindly. Their laughter carried across the water, reminding everyone that even trembling steps can be taken lightly. The novice laughed quietly at these memories. His own trembling no longer seemed shameful. It was part of the crossing. He realized that the bridge was not fragile. It was his trust that wavered. When they reached the far side, the elder rested his staff against the railing and said, You feared the end, yet here you stand. Was the bridge different now than when you began? The boy bowed. No, master. The bridge was steady all along. It was I who trembled. The elder nodded. So it is with the path. The planks of the present always hold, though the fog hides the rest. As they walked back toward the monastery, the boy whispered to himself, Trust this step. His breath slowed, his heart softened. He realized that overthinking was like trying to see the whole bridge at once. Peace came only when he allowed himself to be held by the plank beneath his foot. In modern life, many of us try to leap ahead, rushing toward distant goals, worrying about bridges not yet crossed. But the wooden bridge teaches that each step is enough. The creak of the plank, the rhythm of breath, the glow of lantern light, these alone carry us safely forward. That night, the novice lay on his mat. He pictured himself once more at the bridge, moonlight glimmering across the water. Each inhale lifted his foot. Each exhale set it down. Slowly, plank by plank, breath by breath, he crossed into dreams, carried not by certainty of the end, but by trust in the present. The bridge had offered its lesson. Peace is not found in reaching the far shore, but in trusting each step to carry you fully. Section 7. Tea beside the stream. Steam rising parallels the vanishing of anxious thought. The boy slept soundly that night, his breath deep and steady, as though the bridge still carried him plank by plank into dreams. When morning returned, the monastery bustled with soft tasks, sweeping paths, drawing water, lighting incense. Yet through the rhythm of duties, his heart carried a question. Could ordinary moments, sweeping, fetching, waiting, also become bridges of trust, or must he always sit by the river to glimpse peace? The elder seemed to hear this unspoken question. That evening he beckoned the novice to follow. They walked to the shaded bank where the river bent gently. There, a small wooden table rested on stones, holding a clay pot and two simple cups. Steam rose faintly from the pot. Tonight, the elder said, the river will speak through tea. The boy tilted his head, but sat quietly. The elder poured hot water over the leaves, and fragrant steam drifted upward, curling into the twilight air. The boy watched as the mist of tea rose and disappeared almost instantly. The elder asked softly, "Where does it go?" The boy replied, "It vanishes." "Does it vanish?" the elder pressed. "Or does it join the air you breathe, becoming part of you?" The boy inhaled deeply, catching the faint sweetness of the tea mingled with the cool night breeze. In that moment he understood. The steam had not ended, it had simply transformed. This was the teaching of impermanence as kindness. All things shift, but nothing truly disappears. A Zen master might ask, when the tea becomes breath, is it lost, or has it only come home to you? The elder poured the tea into their cups. They lifted them together, sipping slowly. The warmth spread through the boy's chest, calming him. He watched the steam rise from his cup, vanishing before his eyes, and he thought of his restless thoughts. Perhaps they too could rise and fade, transforming into something softer. Tonight, you can share in this practice. Hold an image of a cup before you. Inhale, imagining the rising steam. Exhale, watching it dissolve gently into air. Repeat 3 times. This is your micro practice, letting thoughts rise and fade like tea steam, without clinging. The monks often found joy in tea. One novice, watching steam curl, exclaimed, "Ah, my worries are escaping." Another teased, "The tea leaves read my fortune. They say I must wash more bowls." Their laughter made even chores feel like moments of lightness. The boy chuckled as he remembered these stories. He looked at the elder and asked, "Then my anxious thoughts are also like steam?" The master nodded. "They rise, they twist, they vanish. But if you breathe deeply enough, you will notice that each one brings warmth before it dissolves." The boy closed his eyes, savoring the warmth in his body, feeling the fragrance linger. For the first time, he thought of his worries not as enemies, but as steam, ephemeral, fleeting, even tender in their brief presence. The elder continued, "The tea leaves do not cling to the steam. They let it rise. So too must you release what your mind creates. Thoughts are gifts only when allowed to pass." The boy bowed his head. "Then I will drink each thought like tea savoring, then releasing." As the night deepened, crickets sang their chorus, and the river whispered its steady lullaby. The boy and the elder sat side by side, sipping quietly. The boy noticed that silence now felt less heavy. It was flavored, like tea, subtle, fleeting, yet nourishing. In modern life, our thoughts often feel overwhelming, boiling over like water in a crowded kettle. But the tea teaches us that heat subsides, steam fades, and calm remains in the cup. Impermanence is not an enemy, but a reminder. Nothing lingers forever, not even our storms. That night, the novice lay upon his mat, eyes closed. He imagined holding a warm cup close to his chest. Each inhale filled him with fragrance. Each exhale carried the steam away into the night. Slowly, his body loosened, and his breath settled into a gentle rhythm, like the curling of steam itself. He drifted into rest, held softly by impermanence. The tea by the river had revealed its wisdom. Peace is not found in resisting change, but in savoring each rising moment as it dissolves into stillness. Section 8, Bamboo Whispering at the Shore. Wind and reeds mirror resilience and surrender. The fragrance of tea lingered in the novice's memory, gentle and warm, even after sleep carried him into dawn. He rose with the others, swept the stone paths, bowed at the altar, and carried buckets of water to the kitchen. Yet as he moved through these tasks, he felt a new ease, as though steam still curled in his chest. His thoughts rose and faded like wisps, no longer pressing so heavily. But by evening, his mind once again began to wander. He thought of the chores awaiting tomorrow, the endless sweep of days. He wondered whether peace was truly possible, or only a fleeting taste like tea steam dissolving into air. His heart grew restless, like reeds swaying wildly at the riverbank. The elder noticed the boy's shifting gaze and beckoned him toward a grove of bamboo near the shore. The stalks rose tall, their green bodies swaying in the night wind. A soft rustling filled the air, like whispers carried from another world. The boy listened, mesmerized. "Master, what do they say?" The elder smiled. "They speak the language of resilience." "Watch." He gently pushed one stalk, bending it almost to the ground. When he released it, the bamboo straightened gracefully, swaying back into rhythm with the others. The elder explained, "The bamboo does not resist the wind. It yields, and so it survives. Were it stiff, it would snap. Flexibility is strength." This was the teaching of resilience and surrender, the wisdom of yielding without breaking. A Zen master might ask, when the wind bends you, is it a threat or an invitation to dance? The boy placed his palm against a stalk, feeling its smooth surface. As the wind brushed through, he felt the gentle sway travel into his hand, into his chest. He realized that his mind, so often rigid with worry, could also bend and return. Perhaps restlessness was not a sign of failure, but an opportunity to learn softness. Tonight, you can practice this bending. Inhale, gently tensing your shoulders. Exhale, releasing, letting them drop like bamboo swaying back to center. Repeat 3 times. This is your micro-practice, becoming supple in the breeze of your own thoughts. The monks often delighted in the bamboo grove. One elder teased, "When the wind blows, I bow more deeply than the abbot himself." Another laughed, "I envy the bamboo. It has fewer chores than I do, and yet it bows all day." Their humor reminded the novices that resilience could be playful, not heavy. The boy smiled at these memories. He bent forward slightly, imitating the bamboo, then straightened with the breeze. His body felt lighter, less stiff with tension. For the first time, he thought, perhaps yielding is not weakness, but wisdom. The elder's voice softened. When the storms of life come, remember the bamboo. Do not fight the wind. Let it bend you. When it passes, you will rise again. The boy closed his eyes, listening to the chorus of stalks swaying together. Their whispers merged with the river's current, a song of surrender and return. In modern life, many of us grow rigid, gripping schedules, clinging to plans, resisting every change. Yet the bamboo shows another way. By bending, we endure. By yielding, we remain whole. Resilience is not hardness, but the soft strength to rise again. That night, lying on his mat, the boy imagined himself as a stalk of bamboo. Each inhale bent him with the wind. Each exhale straightened him again. Slowly his body released its tightness, and his breath swayed into rhythm with the night. Sleep came easily, carrying him like the breeze through the bamboo grove. The whispers at the shore had spoken clearly. Peace is not found in resisting the wind, but in swaying with it, trusting that every bend brings the chance to rise anew. Section 9. The koan of the river's source. A puzzling question leads him to explore beginnings and endings. The bamboo grove had left a deep impression on the novice. Its whispering song returned to him even as he swept the monastery courtyard or bowed before the altar. He thought often of the way each stalk bent yet never broke, and how that mirrored the way his own heart might learn to yield. Still, questions lingered. Yielding was one thing, but where did the river of life begin, and where did it lead? One evening, the elder guided him upstream. The path wound through tall grasses and stones slick with dew. The boy listened to the river's voice grow quieter, as though it whispered secrets more softly the higher they climbed. At last they came to a shaded spring where water bubbled from beneath a rock, clear and fresh. The elder gestured toward it. "Here is the river's source. Tell me, does the river know it will one day reach the sea?" The boy hesitated. "Perhaps it does not. It simply flows." The elder nodded. "Yes. It does not question where it ends, nor cling to where it begins. It moves because that is its nature." This was the teaching of origin and destiny, the koan of the source, to release the need to know every beginning or ending, and instead to live fully in the flowing middle. A Zen master might ask, "If you drink from the source, do you also taste the sea?" The boy knelt by the spring, cupping water in his hands. It was cold, startlingly pure, and it ran through his fingers no matter how tightly he tried to hold it. He laughed softly. "It escapes me, even when I cling." The elder's eyes twinkled. "That is because it was never yours to hold. Like life itself, water is meant to move. To hold too tightly is to lose it. To let it flow is to be nourished. Tonight, you can share in this flowing inhale, imagining a spring bubbling up fresh within your chest. Exhale, letting it run gently through your body down into the earth. Repeat 3 times. This is your micro-practice, becoming the river's source, flowing without grasping. The monks often teased one another about origins. One elder asked, "If I drink tea, am I tasting the rain cloud that once wandered the sky?" Another replied, "If I taste the rain cloud, then surely I am swallowing thunder as well." Their laughter rippled like water through the hall, reminding all that beginnings and endings are not so serious after all. The boy smiled at these memories as he sipped from the spring again. He realized that he had always wanted to know where his path would end, what kind of monk he would become, how peace would look when finally attained. But here, at the source, he understood, he need not know. Flowing itself was enough, the elder spoke gently. We all wish to see the sea before we begin the journey. But peace is not found in reaching the ocean. Peace is in each step, each drop, each breath along the way. The boy bowed, feeling gratitude well in his chest. He placed his hand upon the cool rock where the spring emerged, whispering, "Then this moment is also the sea." They walked back under the deepening night, the boy carrying the sound of the spring within him. He noticed how the river below seemed different now, more alive, as though every wave still remembered its source. In modern life, we often seek our own source, asking where our purpose begins, or when our journeys will end. Yet the spring teaches us that the beginning is already flowing through us, and the sea will meet us when it is time. To live is to flow. That night, lying on his mat, the boy imagined the bubbling spring within his chest. Each inhale filled him with fresh, clear water. Each exhale released it gently into the vast river of the world. Sleep took him softly, like a current carrying him downstream, content to be flowing without destination. The river's source had whispered its koan. Peace is not found in clinging to beginnings or endings, but in flowing fully in the middle, where life is already complete. Section 10. The Hungry Ghost in the Water's Glow. Craving appears as a teaching, softened by compassion. The memory of the spring lingered in the novice's chest as a kind of secret coolness. Each breath felt fresher, as if he carried a portion of that bubbling clarity within him. Yet clarity did not mean his mind was free from disturbance. That very night, while others slept peacefully in the hall, the boy lay awake. His thoughts gnawed at him. What if I never become wise enough? What if my cravings never leave me? What if I fail the path entirely? The more he tried to push the thoughts aside, the stronger they grew, rising like restless shadows against the wall. His stomach felt hollow, his chest tight. He sat up and pressed his palms together, whispering, "Why am I so full of hunger, even in silence?" Sensing his turmoil, the elder approached quietly, lantern in hand. The warm glow spilled across the boy's anxious face. The master sat beside him and asked, "What is it that gnaws at you?" The novice bowed his head. "Master, I crave peace so badly that I cannot sleep. I want release, but my wanting itself keeps me awake." The elder nodded, knowingly. "Then tonight, you meet the hungry ghost." The boy shivered. He had heard of these beings, spirits with enormous bellies and tiny throats, doomed to crave endlessly yet never be satisfied. The elder continued, "Hungry ghosts live not in distant realms, but within us. Every time we cling and grasp, we become them, but they are not our enemies. They are our teachers." This was the teaching of craving and compassion. To meet our hunger, not with fear, but with kindness. A Zen master might ask, when thirst itself cannot be quenched, can compassion become the water? The boy trembled. "But what do I do when I feel this gnawing inside me?" The elder raised the lantern higher, and its light fell upon the river's surface. Tiny insects flickered across the glow, endlessly circling, unable to leave. "Do you see them?" the elder asked. "Yes, master. They are drawn to the light, yet the light does not resent them. Your craving is the same. Instead of pushing it away, bow to it. Say, 'Hello, dear hunger. I see you.' When you stop fighting, it softens." The boy inhaled shakily. He placed a hand on his chest and whispered, "Hello, dear hunger." To his surprise, A warmth stirred where only tightness had been. The craving did not vanish, but it no longer clawed at him so sharply. Tonight, you can share this practice. Place your hand gently on your chest. Inhale, saying silently, "Hello, dear feeling." Exhale, adding softly, "I see you." Repeat 3 times, replacing feeling with whatever arises: worry, restlessness, sadness. This is your micro-practice, transforming hunger into compassion by greeting it kindly. The monks often joked about hungry ghosts. One novice, patting his belly, laughed. "I house an entire village of them. They keep me awake at night, debating over rice." Another replied, "At least your ghosts argue. Mine just nap and snore loudly." Their laughter broke tension, showing that even cravings could be met with lightness. The boy smiled faintly at these stories. His chest felt lighter now, as though his hungry ghost had accepted his greeting and curled up to rest. He whispered, "If I do not fight it, maybe it is not my enemy." The elder's eyes glowed softly in the lantern light. Exactly. Compassion is not only for others. It must begin with your own restless ghosts. When they are seen, they soften, and when they soften, sleep returns. The boy lay back on his mat. He placed his hand on his chest again, breathing gently. "Hello, dear hunger," he whispered silently. "I see you." The gnawing faded into a gentle ache, then into nothing at all. His breath deepened, and his body eased into stillness. In modern life, we all carry hungry ghosts, our craving for success, approval, possessions, certainty. We feed them endlessly, yet they never fill. But the elder's teaching reminds us, when we meet our cravings with compassion instead of resistance, they quiet down, like children soothed by a gentle embrace. The boy drifted into sleep, the lantern's glow still faint behind his eyes. The river whispered its endless song, and the hungry ghost, now acknowledged, finally rested within him. The teaching was clear. Peace is not found in destroying our hunger, but in greeting it tenderly until it softens and returns us to stillness. Section 11. Forest Monks and Walking Meditation. A night journey shows the power of mindful steps. The night of the hungry ghost left the novice humbled. He had seen how craving could gnaw at the heart, not as an enemy to be slain, but as a visitor to be welcomed gently. Still, his practice was fragile. By day he felt calm, but at night his mind sometimes returned to restlessness. His steps grew hurried, his breath shallow, as though he feared the silence itself. The elder watched this quietly for several days before he spoke. "You carry your practice only in stillness. But can you carry it in movement too?" The boy tilted his head. "Master, I do not understand." "Come," the elder said. He led the novice into the forest beyond the monastery, where moonlight pooled between tall trunks and the air smelled of pine and wet soil. The river could still be heard in the distance, but here the ground was covered in leaves, muffling each step. "Tonight," the elder whispered, "we will walk." The boy blinked. "But master, we walk every day." The elder smiled. "We walk with our bodies, yes, but rarely with our whole being. Tonight you will taste the path with each step." They began slowly. The elder lifted one foot, inhaling. He placed it gently upon the ground, exhaling. The boy imitated him, though at first he stumbled, impatient. The elder chuckled softly. "You are still chasing the far shore. Do not walk to arrive, walk to walk. This was the teaching of walking meditation, of bringing presence into each step. A Zen master might ask, when each foot touches the earth, where else do you need to go? The boy tried again. He inhaled, lifted his foot, felt the cool air brush his skin. He exhaled, lowered it onto the earth, feeling the crunch of leaves beneath his sole. Something shifted. For the first time, he felt the ground greeting him, steady and kind. They continued, step after step, through the forest. Moonlight fell in patches, painting silver squares on the ground. The boy felt as though he was walking not only through the forest, but through his own restless heart, softening it with each touch of earth. Tonight, you can share this practice even in bed. Inhale, and imagine lifting your right foot. Exhale, and imagine placing it gently down. Next breath, lift the left, then place it down. Continue for 10 breaths. This is your micro-practice, walking within, step by step, without needing to arrive anywhere. The monks often joked about walking meditation. One novice once walked so slowly that a turtle passed him, and the elder laughed. Perhaps the turtle is more enlightened than you. Another said, I walked so mindfully, I forgot to stop my dinner, walked away instead. Their laughter reminded all that walking too could be playful, not rigid. The boy chuckled as he recalled such stories. His body began to relax with each step, his breath deepening naturally. He noticed how his racing thoughts slowed, as if his mind too had been walking too fast and was now invited to match the gentle pace. The elder stopped by a clearing where fireflies glimmered like floating lanterns. He turned to the boy. Do you feel it? Each step is already home. When you touch the ground fully, you touch peace. The boy bowed his head. Yes, master. The earth holds me when my mind cannot. The elder placed a hand on his shoulder. When you cannot calm your thoughts, calm your feet. When the river inside roars, step gently upon the earth. It will remind you that you already belong. The boy's eyes softened with tears he did not hide. For so long, he had sought belonging in approval, in answers, in distant goals. But here, beneath the silent trees, each step whispered, You are already home. In modern life, we often rush from task to task, our feet moving but our minds chasing elsewhere. Walking meditation teaches us that the ground beneath us is enough. With each step, we can return to ourselves, carried not by speed but by presence. That night, when the boy lay on his mat, he imagined himself walking still. Inhale, lift. Exhale, place down. Each step slowed his breath, softened his chest, and carried him deeper into rest. Soon his body felt as if it were walking through a dream, guided gently by the earth itself. The forest monks had revealed their lesson. Peace is not found in hurrying toward the destination, but in arriving fully within each step along the path. Section 12. The Mirror Mind Pool. A still pond reflects his true self beneath ripples. The forest walk remained within the novice, like a lantern glowing softly in his chest. Each step he took around the monastery the next day carried a faint echo of that slow, mindful rhythm. Even when he fetched water or swept the stone paths, he noticed the ground meeting his feet. Still, in quieter moments, his thoughts crept back questions about who he was, about whether he had truly changed, about whether he was enough. Sensing this lingering uncertainty, the elder took him once more to the river, but this time they left the flowing current behind and followed a smaller path deeper into the woods. They arrived at a secluded pool where the water was still as glass, reflecting the moon and stars with startling clarity. The elder motioned for the boy to kneel at the edge. "Tell me what you see." The boy leaned forward. He saw his own face looking back at him, framed by the night sky above. But when a breeze stirred the surface, his reflection fractured into ripples. "My face breaks," he whispered, frowning. The elder shook his head gently. "Does your face truly break, or is it only the water that moves?" The boy hesitated. "It is only the water." "Exactly," the elder said softly. "Your mind is like this pool. When it is still, it reflects truth. When it is disturbed, it shows distortion. But the truth itself does not shatter." This was the teaching of the mirror mind. Clarity is always present beneath the ripples. A Zen master might ask, when the water reflects the moon, is it the moon that is real or the reflection? The boy touched the surface gently, watching the ripples spread. His reflection wavered, then slowly settled back into clarity. He realized that his anxious thoughts were no more than these ripples, temporary, unable to damage the deeper truth of who he was. The elder placed a hand on his shoulder. "Do not fear the ripples. Let them come. Let them fade. Beneath them, your true self is always whole." Tonight you can practice this clarity. Close your eyes and picture a still pond within your chest. Inhale, imagining the surface trembling with thought. Exhale, seeing it smooth into glass. Repeat 3 times. This is your micro-practice, letting ripples settle until truth reflects itself again. The monks often made light of their reflections. One novice once bowed to his image in the water and said, "I have found my twin brother." Another laughed. "When I frowned at the pond, it frowned back. So I smiled, and now we are both happy." Their playfulness reminded everyone that even the mirror of the mind could be met with humor. The boy laughed softly at these stories, his heart easing. He gazed again into the pond and whispered, "Even when I cannot see clearly, I am still whole." The elder nodded. "Yes, your essence does not break with ripples. Trust the stillness beneath." The boy bowed deeply, tears welling in his eyes. For the first time he felt a tenderness toward himself, not because his thoughts had ceased, but because he saw they could not damage the truth beneath. They sat together by the pond, the night stretching around them. The boy felt the cool earth beneath his knees, the scent of moss in the air, the silence deep enough to hear his own breath. For once the silence was not frightening, but kind, like the still water itself. In modern life, our reflections are often distorted mirrors of judgment, comparison, fear. Yet the pond teaches that these distortions are temporary. Beneath them, our true nature remains clear, waiting only for the ripples to settle. That night, lying on his mat, the boy imagined the pond within his heart. Each inhale stirred a ripple, each exhale smoothed it again. Slowly, his reflection brightened, whole and steady, until sleep took him like a clear moon resting on still water. The mirror mind pool had given its wisdom. Peace is not found in silencing all ripples, but in remembering that beneath them your true self remains whole and unbroken. Section 13. Stone Garden by the River. Impermanence seen in patterns erased by rain. The still pond remained in the novice's memory long after he and the elder left the forest. As he swept the stone paths or carried firewood, he often recalled the calm surface reflecting his face and the sky together. Each time his mind began to ripple with worry, he reminded himself, it is only the water that stirs, not the truth beneath. Yet even with this new steadiness, the boy sometimes felt restless. He wanted a place where he could sit and see change made visible, where impermanence itself could reveal its lesson. The elder sensed this longing and guided him one evening to a garden by the riverbank. It was unlike the lush green spaces he knew. Here, the earth had been carefully arranged into lines of sand and small stones. The sand had been raked into waves that seemed to flow toward clusters of rocks standing like islands. By lantern light, the patterns shimmered, soft shadows, tracing each curve. The boy knelt, awed. "Master, it looks like the river itself has been drawn upon the ground." The elder nodded. "Yes, it is a stone garden, a river that teaches stillness." The boy studied the perfect ripples carved in sand. They seemed eternal, as though frozen in time. Yet when a breeze swept across, a few grains shifted, blurring the edges. "Why must it change?" he asked. The elder picked up a rake, resting nearby, and drew it gently through the sand. New ripples formed, erasing the old. "Because impermanence is beauty," he said softly. "If the pattern never changed, it would be dead. Life is art renewed each moment." This was the teaching of impermanence made visible. A Zen master might ask, when the rain washes the garden away, is it ruined or has it returned to its source? The boy leaned closer, watching the shifting lines. He realized that his own thoughts, like the sand, were not failures when disturbed, but invitations to begin again. Each breath was a new pattern, each exhale a gentle erasure. Tonight, you can share in this practice. Close your eyes and imagine raking a soft line in sand. Inhale, drawing the line. Exhale, watching the breeze reshape it. Repeat 3 times. This is your micro practice, seeing change not as loss but as renewal. The monks often found joy in tending such gardens. One novice once raked a pattern so complex he forgot where it began, declaring, "I have trapped myself in my own river." Another laughed. "The sand erases my mistakes faster than my teacher's patience does." Their gentle humor showed that impermanence could be playful, not frightening. The boy smiled at these tales as he took the rake from the elder. He dragged it slowly through the sand, watching old ripples vanish and new ones appear. At first he felt sadness at the erasure, but soon he felt wonder. Each pattern is beautiful because it will not last, he thought. The elder's voice was calm. When you cling to a single pattern, you suffer as it fades. When you accept change, every pattern becomes a gift. Every breath, every moment, a garden renewed. The boy placed the rake down and bowed deeply. His chest felt lighter, as though some old knot had loosened. For so long he had feared change, clinging to past comforts or future certainties. But here, in the stone garden, he saw that impermanence was not a thief, but an artist. They sat in silence, listening to the faint rustle of sand as the wind shifted it, grain by grain. The boy imagined his own worries dissolving as easily, becoming part of the ever-changing design. In modern life, we often resist impermanence, longing for youth, clinging to relationships, fearing endings. Yet the garden teaches us that change is what creates beauty. Without it, there is no flow, no renewal, no living art. That night, lying on his mat, the boy imagined the rake in his hand. Each inhale carved a fresh pattern across the sand of his mind. Each exhale allowed it to fade, ready for the next. Slowly, his body relaxed, and he drifted into sleep, carried on the gentle waves of impermanence. The stone garden by the river had spoken. Peace is not found in preserving what cannot last, but in embracing each change as the artistry of life itself. Section 14. The Bell Across the Valley. Resonance teaches peace that lingers after sound. The memory of the stone garden stayed with the novice as he moved through his daily life. Each sweep of the broom across the monastery courtyard now felt like raking sand, every stroke an act of renewal. He began to see how impermanence shaped not only the garden, but everything around him. The fading of incense smoke, the shifting colors of the sky, even the rise and fall of his own breath. Yet there was still a quiet longing within him, a wish for something that would endure beyond these shifting patterns. One evening, as dusk descended, the elder invited him to walk to a nearby hill that overlooked the valley. The path wound through tall grass and quiet pines, until they reached a ledge where the whole expanse of river and village stretched below. In the distance, half veiled by mist, a temple bell stood in its wooden frame. Its bronze surface gleamed faintly, catching the last light of the day. The boy asked softly, "Master, why bring me here?" The elder smiled. "To listen." As the sky darkened, a monk in the far temple raised the striker and gently let it fall against the bell. A deep, resonant tone rolled across the valley, slow and steady. The sound seemed to pass through the novice's chest, vibrating not only in his ears but in his bones. Long after the initial strike, the echo lingered, fading gently into silence. The elder turned to him. "What remains after the sound fades?" The boy closed his eyes. "A stillness. As if the bell's voice continues inside me." The elder nodded. "Yes. The sound is impermanent, but its echo becomes part of your being. Peace is like this. It does not need to last forever in form. Its resonance lingers when you let it enter deeply." This was the teaching of resonance, that presence leaves traces even after it passes. A Zen master might ask, when the bell falls silent, is it truly gone, or does its song remain in the listener? The novice placed a hand on his chest, still feeling the subtle vibration within him. He realized that, though impermanence took the form away, it gave him something more lasting, the echo of experience, the memory of stillness, the deep reminder that peace had touched him. Tonight, you can practice this listening. Inhale, imagining a great bell sounding in the distance. Exhale, feeling the vibration ripple through your chest. After 3 breaths, notice the silence that follows, holding the echo gently. This is your micro-practice, hearing the resonance of peace even in silence. The monks often joked about the bell. One novice once struck it so gently the sound barely carried, declaring, "Even silence deserves a whisper." Another struck it so firmly that birds scattered from the trees, and the elder laughed. "You have awakened not only the valley but the ancestors." Their humor reminded everyone that sound, like life, could be approached with both reverence and lightness. The boy chuckled at these tales, his own tension dissolving. He watched the bell shimmer in the distance, then heard another strike, deep, slow, tender. Again the echo filled him, spreading through his body like ripples across a pond. The elder spoke softly. "When people you love depart, when moments end, when youth fades, do not think they vanish. They leave echoes in your heart, just as the bell does. Do not chase permanence in form, Trust the resonance that endures. Tears welled in the boy's eyes, but they were gentle, not heavy. For the first time, he felt that endings were not losses, but gifts that continued to sing within him. They sat together on the hill until the stars brightened and the night wrapped itself around the valley. The boy breathed slowly, his chest calm, as though the bell still vibrated within him. In modern life, we often mourn endings fiercely, relationships, moments, even quiet evenings, believing them gone forever. But the bell teaches us that endings are not erasures. They leave resonance, a tender vibration that continues to shape us long after the sound itself has faded. That night, lying on his mat, the boy closed his eyes and imagined the bell. Inhale, the sound rising. Exhale, the vibration settling through him. Then silence, wide and tender, embracing him fully. He drifted into sleep as though carried by the echo itself, floating on its calm. The bell across the valley had spoken its lesson. Peace is not found in holding sound forever, but in allowing its resonance to remain within, reminding us that nothing truly vanishes once it has touched the heart. Section 15, Dawn on the Riverbank. Letting go fully, he finds spacious stillness as the sun rises. The echo of the bell lingered in the novice's body long after he and the elder had left the hilltop. Even as he swept the courtyard the next morning, or carried buckets of water from the well, he felt the quiet hum in his chest. It was as if the sound had not truly faded, but had dissolved into his breath, into the very rhythm of his steps. Each inhalation carried the bell's depth. Each exhalation carried its stillness. And yet, the boy still wondered. He thought of the river he had first walked beside, of the empty boat, of the fisherman's silence, of the mist and the bridge, the tea and the bamboo, the spring and the pond, the stone garden, and now the bell. Each had taught him something precious, and yet he felt as though he were carrying a satchel filled with lessons. He whispered to himself, "When will I know that I have arrived? When will all these teachings weave into one?" The elder led him back to the riverbank at dawn. The sky was just beginning to pale, a soft lavender stretching across the horizon. Mist rose from the water in curls, and dew glittered on the grass like a field of stars fallen to earth. Birds called softly from the trees, welcoming the first light. The boy sat in silence beside the elder, waiting. The river flowed gently, its voice steady, unhurried. Slowly the sun began to rise, spilling golden light across the water. The mist parted as if bowing before the new day. The elder asked quietly, "Tell me, what does the river teach you now?" The boy closed his eyes. He breathed deeply, listening not with his ears alone, but with his whole being. He felt the river's current in his veins, the sunrise warming his chest, the echoes of every teaching rising within him like ripples converging. "It teaches me to let go," he said softly, "to flow as I am, without clinging to the past or fearing the future. To bend like bamboo, to rise like steam, to rest like an empty boat. It teaches me that peace is already here, waiting in each step, each breath, each moment." The elder's eyes shone with quiet joy. "Yes. At last, you see, the river has always been teaching you not in pieces, but as one whole. Each lesson is a reflection of the same truth. The way out is in. Come home to yourself, and you will find peace flowing through you like this river." The boy bowed deeply, tears glistening in his eyes. He felt no burden now, no satchel of lessons. Instead, he felt light, as though every teaching had dissolved into his breath. Tonight, you too can practice this homecoming. Inhale, whispering silently, "The way out is in." Exhale, whispering softly, "I am home." Repeat 3 times, letting the words ripple through you like the current of a river. This is your micro-practice, resting in the truth that peace has never left you. The monks often smiled at the riverbank. One elder once said, "I tried to catch the river in a jar, but it laughed at me and ran away." Another added, "I tried to escape the river, but it followed me into my dreams." Their laughter reminded the novices that the river could never be grasped, only trusted. The boy smiled at these memories, his heart tender. He turned to the elder and whispered, "Master, I feel as though the river and I are not separate." The elder nodded. "You are not. You are the current, the mist, the boat, the bell, the pond, the garden. All along, you have been what you were seeking." The boy closed his eyes, breathing deeply. For the first time, he felt no rush to arrive anywhere. The river flowed, the sun rose, and he rested fully within the present moment. In modern life, we often believe peace lies in distant shores, in achievements, possessions, recognition, or escape. But the river teaches us that peace is not a destination. It is the current already flowing through us, revealed the moment we stop grasping and allow ourselves to drift gently into presence. That night, as the boy lay on his mat, he imagined the dawn upon the river. Inhale, the light rising. Exhale, the mist parting. His body softened, his mind quieted, and he drifted into sleep like a leaf upon the current, carried home by the river's gentle embrace. The dawn on the riverbank had spoken its final truth. Peace is not found by reaching beyond yourself, but by releasing into the flow of this very moment, where you have always belonged. The river now lies quiet beneath the stars, its current slowed into the rhythm of night. Imagine yourself resting by its edge, the soft grass beneath your body, the cool mist brushing your face. Each breath you take is the river's breath. Each exhale is the gentle release of water flowing past the stones. As your eyes grow heavier, feel the teachings of the night settling within you. The empty boat that drifts freely, showing you the lightness of letting go. The fisherman's silence that listens deeply, reminding you that awareness is born in stillness. The mist across the path, asking for trust in each step. The bamboos bowing, teaching resilience through softness. The stone garden, erasing and redrawing patterns, revealing impermanence as beauty. And the temple bell, its echo lingering in your chest, whispering that peace endures even when forms fade. Let these images dissolve into your breath. Inhale slowly, like mist rising. Exhale fully, like ripples fading on still water. Notice how each breath carries away tension, each exhale smoothing the surface of your inner pond. Now, imagine the dawn approaching, its first light spreading gently across the river. You do not need to rise yet. You are simply here, resting within its glow. No past to carry, no future to chase. Only this moment, soft and whole. As your breath slows, let every worry slip away, like leaves drifting down a quiet stream. Peace has been here all along, waiting in your chest, flowing with your breath. Allow yourself to sink into it fully. The river carries you. The night embraces you. You are home. Sleep comes gently now, as natural as water meeting the sea.